So pleasure to speak with you all.
Hello.
Matthew, Panda is always a blast to see, and he has to be a blast to play, I'm sure too. So what about Jujutsu Kaisen Zero really stood out for you regarding Panda? And he really has some great humorous moments in this film.
Yeah. I liked that you got to see more of his jokey side and more of kind of his big heart in the movie. He there were definitely some callback jokes to the series that I loved that he was like, if you think of Zero as the prequel, which it is, like he was the originator of that kind of humor, and then Yuji kind of takes over that kind of humor in the series. But we've been talking about it all day, just kind of realizing this is a group that Panda kind of offers this emotional support to everyone in the show, in the movie, that is. And I love seeing that. You got hints of it in the show when he would like step in front of a blast to save Nobara and things like that. But in this show, he's really, he's really helping to translate for Toge because he can't do that himself. He's really helping to calm Maki down when she needs it. And I loved it. I loved seeing that and seeing what a strong character he is.
Yeah, I love it. And we definitely see it with Toge so much. And Xander with Toge, so many of your lines are just saying rice ball ingredients. And that seems like an interesting challenge because it kind of lets you focus like purely on the inflections and tone rather than the words. How do you approach that?
It really comes down to strong direction, right? Like our director needs to know the story well enough and know the dynamic well enough to communicate where we can like figure out, okay, this is the intention of what he's saying. And then, yeah, it's a surreal experience trying to communicate meaning while still only saying salmon, but it's a fun challenge. I really enjoyed doing it.
Allegra, Maki kind of steals the film in a lot of regards. We get such great backstory for her.
Yeah.
Can you speak to kind of diving into her past here and showing like a much more vulnerable side of the character?
She's vulnerable and she's angry at the same time in a really great way. She settled into herself so much by the series, and you actually see it in the way that she talks about her goals and what she wants. In the series, she tells Nobara, like, I'm gonna be like a big shot sorcerer, and I'm gonna show everyone that like I can do it, even though my abilities are what they are. But then when she's speaking to Yuta about it, she's like, I'm gonna kill everyone. So it's like her anger, the rage that she felt in the film, where she's younger, she's earlier, she's still finding acceptance and she hasn't quite settled into herself yet, definitely cools and tempers a bit into a more genuine confidence, as opposed to something that she's kind of just like projecting and building walls and trying to keep people out and act like she's more together than she is. It was fun it was really fun to play, and she's got such a rich arc. We've seen bits of her past in both the series and in the movie, the backstory with the Zen'in clan and how much they absolutely suck. They do. They're the worst. And I think every single chip that's on her shoulder is so earned. But yeah, it's delightful to see the way that she smiles more over the course of the movie, and then certainly by the series. She's I don't want to even say a happier character, because that makes her sound like perky, because she's not, but like she's more at ease and with her surroundings, with herself, with her peers, than she is at this point in her personal arc. And then in the manga, there's so much more to come. And I really hope we get to work on it all the way through to there, because there's some good stuff.
Awesome. And, Matthew, going back to season 1 here, I just have to get your reaction. What was your reaction when you saw the line, "I'm merely Panda, no understand human speech"?
I love it. This character is so much like me. I love seeing every little bit that gets revealed, because I assume things about him, because I do feel like we're very similar. And then every time something gets revealed, the kind of humor that he has, his like mother bearness about everyone else, like I just love it. I love that line. I loved I loved him trying to hook up Maki and Yuta in the movie.
Yes.
It's hilarious. I loved what's so funny is art imitates life, life imitates art, or whatever. The fandom of Jujutsu Kaisen is so rabid about Yuji and Nobara and Megumi that all of the Juju Stroll stuff where Panda's like, nobody likes me, it comes. It's so fun to like see that happen in real life when I go to cons with like Adam MacArthur and everything. He's got like lines all the way around the block, and I'm like, Panda's over here. Obviously, Panda's better.
That's great. So Xander, we get a great look at Toge's kindness in this film, and Yuta has a really great revelation after being kind of, he doesn't know what to make of him. And as you talked about earlier, Matthew, like Panda kind of has that talk with them and kind of helps them see each other eye to eye a bit more. Can you speak to just Toge's role in the film and just his kind of arc here?
Yeah, I think, oh boy, I'm not sure what I'm allowed to say without spoiling things. I think that, he is put in a position where he has to, take care of this other person while they're, figuring out, oh my God, what's like, they've had a huge life-changing event happen to them. Again, I'm not sure what exactly I'm allowed to say. With Yuta, and so he has to, make sure this guy doesn't die, and I don't think that's necessarily a position he's used to being in. And Matthew's talked about like at the end when it's time to throw down, it's very satisfying seeing how much they're just ready to rock and roll and ready to do it. And I think that dovetails nicely to where they're at in season 1. Why did I blank on the word season? Season 1, where they have to take up a little bit more of that mentor role to the main trio.
Now that I think about it, I don't think any of the main trio really question Toge in terms of like, not understanding his deal necessarily, where Yuta is actually like actively anxious around him because he's like, I don't know what's going on. I can't understand him. I don't know what to do. So it's interesting seeing the contrast there and actually having someone react almost more organically to the confusion of like, what I don't know. I do not understand what this person is saying. Like, what does salmon mean other than we have confirmed affirmative? Like, it's it. We know one thing at least. Salmon more or less means yes. More or less.
So, Allegra, my last question here. Maki's really become a fan favorite. What has really stood out the most about this community and the support they've given you?
Yeah, it's I think the creator has done such a wonderful job of creating really nuanced, incredible female characters, and you see it especially in the series in episode 17. When all of the women are fighting each other in the school versus school battle. I'm blanking on the name of the arc. But you see their different perspectives, you see who they are and where they are. And I think that as a result, it's very easy for fans, especially like women, femme presenting people, to really latch onto those characters and latch onto the women of the show and be like, they're so rich. Someone asked me recently, someone who like knew really nothing about JJK was like, oh, are you the main character's love interest in this movie? And I was like, no, because Maki's got her own stuff going on. Like Maki has her own life. Maki has her own goals and her own ideals. And I think that's the case for Nobara too. Nobara isn't Yuji or Megumi's love interest. She is her own character. And I think it's so easy for the fandom to be like, heck yeah, rather than thinking, oh, what's the love triangle between the main three going to be? It's refreshing in that regard. And I think the writing of all the characters, Nobara, Maki, Miwa, who I voice in the show, Mai, Momo, like it's all very rich and really wonderful across the board. So it's easy.
Fantastic point.
Yeah.
Something we've all talked about as a cast is how proud we can be of the female characters in the show. It's not often that in TV 14 animes that you don't see, very skimpily clad women doing, talking like babies. And this show is not that whatsoever. The women are just as developed character wise as the main characters, and they are the main characters. It's wonderful.
I would say that they're all largely very like attractive characters, but they're not like hypersexualized in any way. They're not. Exactly. They're so much more than just what would have been like maybe 20 years ago, like, oh, the pretty girl sidekicks. Like, just because Maki is the only female character, like prominent female character, other than obviously Rika, in JJK Zero, doesn't mean that she is or should be, despite Panda's insistence, anyone's love interest. That's not who she is. She's got so much going for her. And, in
fact, the characters wearing the least clothes in the show are Panda and Toto, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Our two boys.
I'm the eye candy. This is
true.
Yeah, Panda's definitely pretty lewd. Thank you guys for the time here. The film turned out great.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Proud of it.